Greetings all and welcome back for another paranormal pit stop. Tonight, we'll be taking a look at a 504-acre state park expanse located off of Scott Avenue in Porter, New York that lies near the terminus of the Niagara Scenic Parkway, preserving a prominent defensive fortification recognized as one of the oldest continuously operated military bases in the United States and rumored to hold a range of restless spirits tied to its past. Are you prepared to explore the history and hauntings of Fort Niagara State Park? Historically, in 1678, Fort Conti was built near the site of our modern-day Fort Niagara by French explorers, but it was burned to the ground within its first year, and in 1687, Fort Denonville was constructed in its stead. However, following a particularly harsh winter that yielded only 12 survivors, in 1688, this post was left abandoned entirely. In 1726, what was called the Maison de Machacoulis, which today is referred to as the French Castle, was constructed under the French, and in 1755 was further expanded to its current size, following a significant armed confrontation between British and French interests through the 7 Years' War. In 1759, the British would take control of the fort in what was called the Battle of Fort Niagara, and though it would eventually be ceded to the US following the Revolutionary War, British forces would remain on site until the 1796, after signing the Jay Treaty, which all but settled the northern border. Nearly a century later, in 1893, a U.S. Coast Guard station was established on the banks of the Niagara, just below the fort, and remains in service into the present. In 1938, the Officers' Club building, inspired by the French castle within the old fort, was established and would replace the original structure, which was destroyed by fire. And from 1940 to 1943, after the 28th Infantry Regiment was transferred south to train, the aged defense would act as a reception center for new recruits, during which time, in 1941, fort lands were actually granted to the U.S. by the state of New York. From 1944 to 1946, Fort Niagara would serve as a camp for German POWs, and following the fight would house a number of returning veterans. In 1948, ownership of the fort was transferred back to the state to be managed as a public expanse under the New York State Council of Parks. In 1963, the Army would cease operations on site, and from 1965 to 1966, old garrisons were demolished. Today, the renovated fort and its grounds remain open to the public and host a number of reenactment battles, period dances, fundraisers, and all manner of events, while offering plentiful trails for hiking, picnic spaces, a playground, no less than 18 soccer fields, a pool, rec programs, and much, much more. Additionally, the park includes the old Fort Niagara historic site and 2 boat launches that drop directly into the Niagara River. Through its lengthy existence, Fort Niagara played witness to a countless number of violent fatalities, some results of war, others of sickness and starvation, and local legend tells the whole of the site is haunted by resulting restless spirits, with both park officials and visitors reporting glowing orbs visible to the naked eye, shadowy figures that stalk the living, and encounters with a range of full-bodied apparitions in clothing spanning the centuries. The fort plays host to an old graveyard holding more than 350 marked graves, many of which are unreadable, and while another cemetery was launched on the east end of the post in 1949, these newer interments were later moved. Those who have braved the old burial grounds have reported encounters with entities dressed in garb from the fort's earliest eras, and near where the newer yard formerly sat, several have reported run-ins with more modernly clad manifestations, most of whom appear lost or confused, as if seemingly searching for their rightful graves. 2 popular legends surrounding Fort Niagara involve a chilling headless specter that's been sighted on numerous occasions. The first story claims this specter is the ghost of General John Prideaux, who made the mistake of stepping in front of a mortar that was being test-fired at the Battle of Fort Niagara, and lost both his head and life. The second fable claims this decapitated manifestation is actually a result of a duel between 2 French officers that ended when one was decapitated, after which the victor threw the loser's head into Lake Ontario while stuffing his body down a well in the French castle. Whatever the case, this disturbing ghost has been sighted both rising from the well during full moons and has also been encountered roaming about the expanse after dark. Also reported across Fort Niagara State Park are doors that open and close on their own, lights that flicker on and off by themselves, orbs and strange silhouettes captured in photography, and documented accounts from soldiers and prisoners who described encounters with hobgoblins, or small, hairy hominid creatures that operate within human dwellings undetected, and that usually only emerge at night. Lastly, on May 4th of 1871, 2 officers and 6 enlisted individuals made their way out into a storm on a 6-oared river barge in an attempt to recover a lifeboat that had broken loose and had been swept out to Lake Ontario. Sadly, the violent weather would result in the barge capsizing and in the devastating loss of the entire crew. Those walking nearby shorelines, especially during storms, have described sighting a ghostly vessel wrestling with the wake as it attempts to cross the drink, only to overturn and simultaneously fade into nothingness. Thanks for joining us on this Paranormal Pit Stop. If you enjoyed our histories and ghost stories, go ahead and subscribe to our channel, throw us a like, and share us with anyone you feel could use a good scare. We'll see you next time.